I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, a place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and an overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ, and today's episode is more of a, how can I put it, an reflection episode. A few days ago, well, no, just yesterday, I got a text from one of my friends, just asking me, was I all right? And, I just answered the typical, yeah, I'm good. Why do you ask? And she was just like, you seem a little distant. And, and so it just made me really just think, really just think about it. And it made me realize that like for the past 2 weeks, I've just been like in like a rut. I've been feeling like I've just been going through the motions. I've been living life on like a hamster wheel, that wash, rinse, repeat kind of feeling. And so I just told her, like, man, I just realized that, man, I just feel like I've been going through the motion, like these past couple of weeks. And, she asked me, did anything change? And I had to really sit there and think about it. And the only thing that I could really think of was I had an opportunity to get a job that was going to pay me like $10 more than what I'm making right now. And um I got the job, I got the job, but I had to do a physical and my blood pressure was too high. And, I went back, like I got on medication. Mind you, I knew that my blood pressure was high, but I'll get to that in a second. So I got on medication, went back, tested it again, still too high. So ultimately didn't get the job. And so, you know, I was just like, you know what, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. That I didn't get the job. I'm okay with it. And what I realized, you know, maybe a couple of days ago, what I realized was I wasn't mad about not getting the job. What I was mad about was the money that came with the job. Because, me being human, having a human moment, not being perfect, mentally, I started to spend the money. Mentally, I started thinking about, being able to get a new car or being able to save up, being able to do this, um, for when I get ready to move. I'm just mentally, I'm spending this money once I got the email saying I got the job. I'm just mentally spending this money. And so, when I ultimately don't get the job, it wasn't so much about the job itself because I really didn't care about the job. It was the money that came with the job. And so, and I realized that a few days ago because I was okay with not getting the job, but subconsciously I was just going through the motions and I didn't really know that I was going through the motions until my friend yesterday texted me. And that's when I realized that, man, that money that I was already mentally spending, it's not coming to me. And so it made me kind of just, again, subconsciously, because I didn't realize it until, I got the text, that my mind was, kind of like, okay, what's next? Like what now? You know what I'm saying? My mind, I just knew that I was going to get this job. I knew that I had the job. And, I'm thinking about doing this and doing that and spending this and doing, and what I'm saying, just all of these things. And so now, that my brain, again, subconsciously is wrapped around, okay, no, you're not getting the job. What now? What do I do? Now I'm back to, excuse me, I'm back in reality. I got to go, back to, my everyday, my everyday grind, and so it's just kind of putting me in this funk that I didn't even realize I was in, of just like, just going to work, doing what I do, not thinking, anything about it, because on the surface, I'm feeling like everything's fine. At the end of the day, I got my I got my medicine. I'm doing better. Blood pressure's, at a normal level now. Well, it's better. It's way better than what it was, so I'm doing what I need to do, trying to eat a lot better, trying to change my lifestyle around. Instead of looking at it as a diet, I have to look at it as a lifestyle change. So doing better with my lifestyle change. Do I have some moments? Yeah, and I understand that it's not gonna happen overnight. So yeah, I have some moments where, you know, all right, I know I don't need to be eating that. I know I need to be doing this, exercising more. So it's going to be a struggle, but day by day, just trying to get better. Every 30 days, just trying to put a little bit of change, together. One day at a time, just trying to put a couple of days together of me doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and hitting whatever marks that I need to hit mentally for myself to say, hey, we can keep going. Give me another day. Give me another day. So doing all of that, but beneath the surface, I didn't realize that I was going through a funk because, again, like I said, in my mind, I'm already making these moves mentally, and without, knowing what was coming, and it just kind of it put me in this funk of, all right, what's next? What now? You know, I gotta figure something out, because I want I want more, and there's good and bad to it, because like I've said before, well, I don't know if I've said it on the channel, but I know I talk about it a lot with just the people that I'm around. This job that I have now is it can get very, what's the word I'm looking for? I can it can become very stagnant. Like, right, I can see myself, because it's such a chill, laid back, easy job. I can see myself getting very complacent with this job and staying there way longer than I have to, because it's just so simple, because it's so easy. There isn't much of a demand, mentally or physically for this, with this job. And so, I do feel myself getting a little restless because I'm not learning anything new. I'm not, it's just very, I don't know, it's just very wash, rinse, repeat type of job. You go in there, it's pretty much the same thing, it's routine. And normally I would enjoy that. Normally, because I know what my day's going to look like. I know, that of course you have your outlier days, but everything's still within, this framework of what a normal day will look like. And I think that missing out on this job, it did two things for me. Number one, it got me on my medication, and I'm thankful for that. I want to make sure that I put that out there. It got me off my behind. So I can't get mad at nobody but myself, because my mom had been telling me, crazy enough, hey, when are you going to go to the clinic? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And it's like, and I was just telling her, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And in my mind, I wasn't thinking about doing it. I wasn't thinking about focusing on that at all. And look what happened. So, but overall, I'm glad that I'm on my medication. I'm glad I'm doing what I need to do to start improving my health. So that was the one thing that, this opportunity, missing out on this opportunity. So just the job itself did. The second thing was, it kind of woke me up, because like I said, I've been in that cycle. I've been living life on like a hamster wheel. And so now that I'm getting ready, so now that I'm in this mindset of, okay, what's next? We got to do something. In my mind is telling me, okay, I need to do something. I need to break out of this monotony. I don't know if that's the right word, but I just need to break out of this cycle, of just complacency and stagnation. So it's just got me thinking now, like, what's next? What can I do? I don't want to stay complacent, because I can't sit here and tell you that I'm not. I have become complacent over the past couple of months, you know, because that job, the job mixed with my old mentality that's still there, right? that I am working on, but that mentality of, okay, I'm getting comfortable now, and y'all know how addictive the comfort zone can be, and how addicted to my comfort zone I can become. So, especially when something like this, where I'm expecting something to happen and I'm banking on something to happen and it doesn't, that's one of them situations where you can fall back, where I could fall back in my shell, past versions of me. I would have fell back into my shell, would have just fallen into the monotony, would have fallen into the complacency and just been like, okay, I'm good. I'm gonna just take care of this job and, do it like that. Just now I'm gonna just work this job. But I'm trying again not to stay in that place, not to really go too deep into that place. And I'm trying to work on finding something else to just get me out of that complacency, get me out of my comfort zone. But that's what I'm going through, man. I'm just going through a rut right now. And it's luckily I got therapy, tonight, later on today. And I'm excited to talk to her and just try to figure out try to figure out ways to help me kind of deal with it. So, and I know I've been saying this a lot lately on my episodes, but I'm very thankful for therapy. And so things that I would normally hide away from, tuck, and not talk about, these are things that I'm wanting to talk about, with not just my friends. I'm telling potentially the world, whoever, listens to the podcast, about these things. So it's helped me to open up. It's helped me to figure out, to discover the whys. Why am I feeling this way? What's got me feeling this way? And to also talk about it. So it's helping me to discover what's going on and to help me talk about what's going on. But yeah, man, that's where I am right now, is just trying to deal with this, because like I said, I think that, missing out on the job, the job itself, I'm cool with. I'm not upset about missing out on the job. It's just the money that came with the job that still stings. Like, even as I'm talking about it, it stings. And it's frustrating to sit here and think about, because again, just having a human moment, being human, I had started to spend that money. And so that's another lesson. It's always something, as I've said before, it's something that you can learn from every situation, good or bad. So, I gotta learn to check, my greed, because literally as soon as I got that email saying I got the job and they gave me my offer letter, it was like, I'm already thinking about how to spend this money. I'm thinking about what I'm finna spend it on, and all of that. So it was definitely a wake up call at the end of the day that I needed, because I didn't even realize how complacent I had gotten when it comes to just my everyday, how I move. Like, I didn't even realize, like, man, I have not wanted to record. I have not wanted to, I just haven't wanted to do anything, just literally just go to work and come home. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really wanted to talk to anybody. And that normally isn't like me, to not want to talk to like to not want to talk to people, or to kind of be way more in my shell than I have been. So I'm glad that I figured out what it is. And now it's just time to do the work to get out of this place, to get out of this rut, to get off that hamster wheel, and to get back to living and moving forward in life. But, I gotta acknowledge and own that, like, right now, I'm just stuck, mentally. I'm just stuck in something that, I thought something was going to happen. It ended up not happening. Now I gotta learn to pivot. I gotta learn to readjust. And so, this is going to be a good lesson. This is going to be something good another good thing that I can talk about once I come out of it, or as I'm going through it, to help motivate and inspire people, inspire myself. But yeah, it's definitely, it definitely got to me. But I'm thankful though. I'm thankful for the text message, because honestly, if I don't get the text and I don't have the realization, I don't even know if I'm doing this episode. You know what I'm saying? I may not even know what episode I'm doing, because I didn't do one. I didn't record one last week. When I tell you, I've been in a funk for like 2 weeks and didn't even realize it. I've just been in a funk. And that's how easy it is to get lost in something, and subconsciously and not even know, because I didn't really realize, it took her texting me, like, and saying, you seem a little distant, or something seems a little off, for me to even grasp or even realize, okay, yeah, something isn't right. Something is going on. I don't know what it is. And, to finally have that realization that, oh, okay, it's me. I didn't get what I needed to get, or I didn't get what I wanted. I had already in my mind, like I said, started spending this money and started making moves based off of money that I didn't have. And I think that I was just so focused on the job and being okay with not having the job, that I assumed that I was okay with everything. And I didn't realize that it wasn't even about the job itself. It was about the money that came with the job that bothered me so much, that messed me up so much. And yeah, it got to me, but I didn't. The crazy thing, like I've been saying, I didn't even realize it took that text message. And so that's another reason why I say it's so important to have people around you, people who can understand, people who recognize, hey, my boy, my girl, she ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Something ain't right. He or she not being their normal selves. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes they gonna catch it when you don't catch it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people gonna see something going on with you that you don't see in yourself. And so this was a moment where I didn't see it in myself. I didn't see me having struggle, or me going through something and not, and you know what I'm saying, and needing help, or needing to talk to someone. I'm going through, and I'm not even knowing, I'm not even realizing that I'm being distanced, that I'm, starting to pull away from people. I'm not recognizing that at all in any way, shape, or form. So that's why it's so important to have those people around you who can give you you good, have those mental checkups, have those, mental, yeah, I guess checkup is the word, to just come talk to you and just make sure you are right. Make sure, just to check in with you. And, you know, I used to hate that. I used to not like people checking in on me, because I don't know, it just, back then, it made me feel like, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess I could just say weak. It made me feel weak. Like, I don't need you checking in on me and being conceited. Like, no, I'm the one who checks on people. I don't need anybody to check on me. And not realizing that that was probably the main thing that I did need, but I also needed to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I needed people checking on me, but more importantly, I needed to be honest with the fact that I need someone to check on me, because they would, if they did check on me, like how I subconsciously did when she first asked, I was just like, yeah, I'm good. And then I was like, why do you ask? And then when she said, you've been distant, then that made me kind of stop, you know what I'm saying? Stop my typical answer, going through the motion type answer, and really, try to figure out, is there something going on? Is there something that I did, to be distanced? Like, what's really going on? I had to really just ask myself what's going on. And that was something that I wouldn't have done in the past. It was something that I wouldn't have thought about, wouldn't have cared about in the past, wouldn't have even taken a second to think about, because I just would have been like, nah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And, and not even thought about it, just paid it no attention. But now, going through therapy, and now realizing that, sometimes you got to take a step back, and you got to really ask yourself, hey, what's going on? What's really my temperature? What am I really feeling? What am I really thinking? And as I start to do that, you have these realizations. So this is the perfect real time example of why sometimes you have to take a step back and figure out what's going on, figure out what moves you're going to make, and why you need to make them, and why these things are so important, and why it's so important to have people around you and start building these things. Because the friend that I'm talking about, I've known her since probably like 4 months now. So 4 months, this is somebody, who's relatively new. And, she realized that, you being a little distant, and something going on. So, man, I can't stress enough how important it is to have good people around you, good people who recognize your tendencies, people who really see you, really recognize you, who can really recognize, okay, something ain't right. They not doing what they normally do now. They're not acting in normal way. Something ain't right. And who also will speak up, not just notice it, but also ask you about it or challenge you on it. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm thankful and I'm appreciative, because if she's not in my life, again, probably not having this moment, definitely not doing this episode. And when I go to therapy later, I'm probably not even talking about it, because in my mind, on surface level, I'm good. I'm like, okay, I'm not tripping on the job. Like, yeah, it would have been cool, but hey, I'm not tripping on the job. Not realizing that subconsciously I'm not tripping on the job itself, but I am tripping on not getting that money. And so, you know, I'm just thankful. I'm appreciative, because I wouldn't have caught that. I wouldn't have caught that on my own. I may have not, and maybe my therapist would have caught it. Maybe, just her asking me enough questions, it probably would have brought it out of me. You know what I'm saying? But just surface level, I wouldn't have caught it, because surface level, I do feel good. I am genuinely okay with not getting the job. I just didn't realize that deep down, my subconscious was like, okay, now what? Now what are we doing? Because deep down, I feel like the job that was good enough for me, right, has been good enough for me. Now that I know I'm missing out on an extra $10 an hour, now the job no longer feels good enough for me. And that's, something else that, I'm going to talk to my therapist about, because the job just doesn't feel, I don't know, because I've been knowing. Now, one thing I can say, right, and again, it's just being transparent. I have known that this job has been kind of a wash, rinse, repeat type job. Has been very complacent. And, it hasn't been much of a problem. Like, have I been looking? Of course, because that's how I found the opportunity, and I got the job. So I have known, but it hasn't been an urgency to look for another job. It hasn't been that urgency to really be really looking like every single day. Look, like let's see what's out there. Let's keep looking. I haven't had that, but now since I've missed out on it, I've had that since then. Every single every single day. You know what I'm saying? So now it's starting to feel like the job isn't enough. You know what I'm saying? The money isn't enough. The job is too I'm getting too complacent. So it's like I'm battling that now, whereas I could go to work, with no problem. Now it's like, okay, this ain't enough. Something's gotta change, something's gotta give. So it's like I got that itch to you know what I'm saying, to be looking. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't know if, because again, and the reason why I say that is because I know me, and I know when I didn't have this mindset, when something would happen, I would just kind of brush it off and be like, it ain't worth it. But now that I have this mindset that, okay, I got to do something, this job ain't it, what I'm saying, all the stuff that I'm thinking. Now, if something happens, now what? Now, how do I react? Now, am I quick to be patient? Am I quick to be calm? Am I quick to be understanding now that I feel the way that I feel about my job? You know what I'm saying? Like, or do I become more combative? Do I, you know, get angry a lot quicker? Am I quicker to get angry? You know what I'm saying? These are things that I'm thinking about because I have the mindset like I'm ready to go. I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for something else. So that's the danger of it. So we'll see, how things go. Like I said, I'm definitely excited about therapy because we have plenty to talk about today. But, I just wanted to come on here and, and talk and be transparent, be open, and, just talk about my real life things that I go through. I know sometimes I get on here and I just, talk about all the positive changes that I've made and all the wonderful things that are going on and how my mental has been so much better and things like that. And all those things are true. And all of those things I want to continue to talk about. I want to continue to highlight the importance of therapy and how much therapy has done for me in a positive way. But I also want to talk about, how I go through real things, real life things, how I still have real emotions, real anger, real frustrations, real disappointments, um, real letdowns, and how I'm still going through my battles, even in the midst of going through therapy. Like it's a everyday battle, it's an everyday fight, to fight my emotions, to fight the anger, to fight the frustration, to fight wanting to go back to, my comfort zone and fighting out of my comfort zone. All of these things are struggles that I go through every single day, and I don't always talk about it. And so, now that I'm really going through something that's really kind of hitting me in a way that it's affecting me in a way that I didn't really realize until, I had a conversation yesterday. I wanted to get on here and talk about it and just show that, number one, why therapy can be helpful, because it gives you somebody to talk to who can give you tools to help you get through some things. Because one thing that I realized, you can't get through everything by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Burying stuff isn't the answer. Burying stuff, it might help temporarily, but eventually that stuff is gonna start leaking out and it's gonna start affecting your life in different ways. So therapy is just, for me, it's just a way to vent, to let it out, and not just to vent and let it out, but also to get some information back, to receive some things, and to help get me, put me in a better position, help me to realize, okay, there are some things that I could be doing a hell of a lot better. There are things that I could be doing to better myself, to better the people around me, to make sure I have better people around me, to start catching things that I know that will put me in a mental fog, whatever the case may be. But I just wanted to show that real time, how therapy is helping me, how things, you're going to go through things, right? You're going to go through things that are going to disappoint you. Life is just full of ups and downs. One day I literally got an email saying, "Hey, this your job. You've been accepted. Here's your offer letter, all of this stuff." And then the next day it's like it's all gone, but it's not the end of the world. You got to pick yourself up. You got to figure out what's next. And yeah, it may take time. You got to do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do. And this is one of the moments where at the end of the day, no matter how I feel, I still got to get up and go to this job. I still got to go do what I got to do because my bills aren't going to stop. The things that, life isn't going to stop for me just because I'm in a place where I feel trapped. I feel stuck. I feel stagnant. Now I got to go figure that out. And I got a good team around me. I got good support around me. I got people who gonna breathe life into me, breathe love, breathe support into me. And I have my therapy, which, is going to help me figure things out. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I get just a little too emotional and I don't give myself a second to breathe and, to tell myself, it is going to be okay. Let's figure this out. I just, I assume that everything has to be figured out right then and there. And, it's okay to not have it figured out. It's okay not to know. It's okay. I don't have the answers. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm seeking this counsel. I'm seeking to figure out who has an answer. Maybe I get different answers from everybody else. I pull different answers and then I finally figure out my own answer by adding and taking away and all of this stuff. But the point that I'm making is I got people around me in my ear, making sure I'm staying positive, making sure I'm staying upbeat, checking on me. You know what I'm saying? Knowing the signs, okay, something ain't right with him. So, and I'm very thankful for those people around me. I'm very appreciative for um my support group and the people around me just trying to help me get to a better space and just live a better life and maintain this better life. And I'm very thankful for them, man. And I hope that to anybody and to everybody listening, that if y'all take nothing else away from this, please, if you need help, go get help and make sure you got some good, solid people around you. Family, friends, whatever, mentor, people who can challenge you, people who can check you, people who can check on you, you know what I'm saying? And go on, like I said, breathe life, positivity, support into you. Make sure you have those things around you. But that's it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. I appreciate the support. And to everybody on YouTube, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share, and thank y'all again for the support that y'all show me on there, man. I hope that all of y'all have a blessed day.